audience watching us from wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining this very special session, which we kick off with a fireside chat with Her Excellency Nouzha Skalli. Just to give you an introduction of Her Excellency, she is a member of parliament, a former Minister of Solidarity, Family Affairs and Social Development in Morocco. The women's rights activist, Nouzha Skalli, a pharmacist by education, is a member of the Moroccan Parliament for the Party for Progress and Socialism. From October 2007 to December 2011, she was Minister of Solidarity, Family Affairs and Social Development. She advocated for forming a law, part of civil society, but also for fighting violence against women and for women's political participation, pushing the role to the forefront. She also tirelessly stood for local elections every year. She says her political career was made possible because her husband stayed home for the family, arguing there were already enough men in politics. After more than 20 years, she was appointed minister. Ms. Skalli has in one way or another been part to nearly all women-related activities of the EMA and is to say our mascot. So welcome, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much for this good point that you have said. Good morning.
Good morning.
I would like only to say that I have been acting a lot for the change of the family code, but the family code has been promoted by the King Mohammed VI after a big fight of the civil society in Morocco for having this change of the family code that was very, very important.
And you know, it's interesting that you mentioned the family code, because even in your introduction, I love how your husband said there are too many men in politics. We don't need more. So that's, you know.
Yes.
If only more men said that, right?
It would be good.
Mrs. Skalli, we will switch to Arabic if it is easier. أنا بتكلم عربي لبناني وأنت عربي مغربي، بس إن شاء الله نقدر نفهم مع بعض، هيدا أهم شيء. أول سؤال بدي أسألك هو كيف بتشوفي أو كيف بتشاهدي the situation of women بالمغرب؟
شكرا جزيلا، شكرا على تقديمك. قبل ذلك أنا جد سعيدة للمشاركة في هذا المنتدى الخامس للاحتفاء بشبكة العربية الألمانية للنساء ومشروع ويسال، وكذلك بغيت نتقدم بالتهاني للسيدة 𝗪𝗲𝗏 اللي عرفت كيفاش تضمن الاستمرارية لهذا المشروع الهام بمقاربة تشاركية مع المجتمع المدني والجمعيات النسائية. وأشكر كذلك وزارة الخارجية الألمانية، وأقول أنه هذا المشروع مهم جدا لأنه يعني يضمن تعاون وتبادل التجارب والكفاءات بين النساء الألمانيات والنساء الضفة الجنوبية للبحر الأبيض المتوسط، ويخلق تضامن، يخلق تعاون، تعاضد ما بين النساء، والواقع ديالو مهم جدا في مجال التنمية البشرية لبلادنا. وأود كذلك أن أقول سنة 2021 سعيدة، بدون كمامة، بدون كوفيد، بدون أي جائحة، وإن شاء الله بالمزيد من المكتسبات من أجل المساواة والتعاون بين النساء والرجال على التنمية والتقدم.
وأهم شيء يعني قلتيه هو التنمية بين النساء والرجال، بس اليوم أنت كنتي وزيرة. أنت وزيرة بعد 10 سنين خلصتي تكوني وزيرة، شفتي في تغيير؟ في شيء تغير بالمغرب؟
تماما. أقول أنه الوضعية في المغرب يمكن الاختصار فيما يخص حقوق النساء بالقول أنه هناك تقدم جد كبير، وأنه هناك كذلك تحديات جد كبيرة. فلا بد أننا نتكلم على العشيرية الأولى للقرن ال21 اللي تميزت ب يعني خطوات، ممكن أن أقول خطوات عملاقة في مجال حقوق النساء. على سبيل المثال يعني تغيير قانون الأسرة شكل حقيقة ثورة هادئة، لأنه تكلم على علاقة مبنية على المساواة، على التعاون بين النساء والرجال، ويعني أعطى مجموعة من الحقوق جد مهمة بالنسبة للنساء. أقول ذلك وأقول أنه حاليا هناك تحدي الكبير، هو أننا نقوم بتغيير جديد، لأنه الإصلاح لا ينتهي أبدا. لما اكتسبنا قانون الأسرة الجديد في 2003 اعتبرنا كمجتمع مدني آنذاك أنه يعني وصلنا إلى أقصى ما كان ممكن أننا نصل إليه، ولكن الآن نرى أنه هذا يبقى غير كافي، وأنه لابد أننا نمشي إلى الأمام، خاصة أنه يعني المجموعة من الإصلاحات التي تكلمت عليها مثل تغيير قانون الجنسية والسياسات العمومية في مجال محاربة العنف ضد النساء التي كانت جد مهمة ولا زالت، ولكن هذه الإصلاحات توجت بالدستور الجديد للمغرب. الدستور الجديد للمغرب ينص بكل صراحة على المساواة في جميع المجالات، المساواة بين النساء والرجال، مجال اقتصادي اجتماعي مدني يعني اعطى واحد القيم مهمه جدا، ونص على المناصفه في تحمل المسؤوليه ما بين النساء والرجال. هذا جد جميل، خاصه انه المغرب رفع التحديات، رفع تحفظات على اتفاقيات القضاء على جميع اشكال التمييز ضد النساء.
and just to say Morocco.
نقطه
تفضلي لانه بدي اجيب سيره المغرب وكفي بسؤال واحد.
جوج جمل. الجمله الاولى هو اننا كذلك انخرطنا في البروتوكول الاختياري الملحق بهذه الاتفاقيه، والان يبقى التحدي الكبير هو تملك هذه القيم ديال الدستور وترجمتها الى الواقع باعاده النظر في كل القوانين والملائمه لهذه القوانين مع اتفاقيات الدوليه ومع دستور المغرب.
وبتعرفي Your Excellency أهم شيء المغرب compared to other Arab countries is advanced in terms of women participation حتى بالسياسة. يعني أنا سؤالي لإلك من هالأسئلة هو اليوم النساء شو الرول تبعهم في السياسة؟
ما فهمتش.
What is the role of women in politics? What do you view the role of women in politics in Morocco, having been a minister yourself?
Très bien. هذا مهم جدا. قلت في مجال وصول النساء إلى السياسة لابد أن نقول أنه في 2002 كان لدينا فقط امرأتين عضوات في البرلمان 2002، وحاليا لدينا 81 مرأة داخل البرلمان، وكذلك في الجماعات المحلية. وهنا يأتي الدور الذي أتشرف بأنني قمت به وأنا على رأس الوزارة، هو في مجال الجماعات المحلية. يعني الجماعات المحلية مثل الحكومات المحلية إذا اقتضى القول. كانت هناك في 2009 وأنا وزيرة كان فقط 0.5% من المنتخبين المحليين الذي كانوا نساء. يعني من ضمن 1540 جماعة كانت فقط 127 مرأة منتخبة. هذا كان جد قليل ولا يكفي. وبحكم يعني تبني قانون ضمن للنساء حضور في جميع الجماعات المحلية في العالم القروي، حاليا لدينا 22% من المنتخبين المحليين اللي هما نساء. أنا ذاك في القانون عملنا يعني وصلنا من 0.5 إلى 12%، ومن 127 مرأة منتخبة إلى 3500 مرأة منتخبة. يعني كان واحد التحول مهم جدا، وأعطى صوت للمرأة في العالم القروي كما يقال، لأنه النساء في العالم القروي مثلا ليس لديهم صوت، فأصبح لهم صوت. وكذلك النساء في المدن أصبحوا حاضرات وينقلوا الاهتمامات والحاجيات للنساء، وهذا يؤثر جدا على تدبير الشأن العام المحلي والوطني، وعنصر من العناصر المهمة للتقدم بالنسبة للنساء وللتنمية البشرية.
اوكي. ولما Your Excellency لما بلشتي هالسبيتش وقلتي انه بتتمني ل 2021 بلا كمامة والبانديميك خلاص but what is your wish for women for 2021?
تماما. أقول بأنه هناك، قبل ما أقول ماذا أتمنى ل 2021، أقول أنه التحدي الكبير الذي يوجد بالنسبة لكل النساء العربيات وكل نساء المنطقة نقولوا جنوب البحر الأبيض المتوسط هو محاربة الأفكار الظلامية ومحاربة الاتجاهات الإيديولوجية التي تنقص من قيمة المرأة وتجعل من المرأة أنه دورها في البيت. وإحنا في المغرب كذلك عانينا من هذا التيار الإيديولوجي التي يعتبر أنه المرأة هي ترية للمنزل، هي تضوء المنزل وليس، ونحن نقول أنه المرأة هي شمس تضوي العالم وليس فقط تضوي البيت. وهذا هو أظن بأنه من ضمن أهم التحديات، وكذلك القضاء على العنف ضد النساء. إذا بالتالي يمكننا نقول على أنه المتمنيات هي كذلك في القضاء على الأفكار التي تحمل هذه الصورة للمرأة وكذلك النهوض بحقوق النساء. بغيت نقول بأنه بالإضافة إلى انتهاء جائحة الكوفيد أتمنى أنه الكل يفهم أنه العالم لا يمكن أن يتقدم ويتنمى إلا بمشاركة كاملة وخاصة اقتصادية وسياسية للنساء. وهناك دراسة للOCDE في 2017 يعني منظمة التعاون والتنمية الاقتصادية التي تقول أنه هناك ضياع كبير في الربح الممكن إذا حققنا المساواة بين النساء والرجال في المجال الاقتصادي. وهذا يتطلب يعني النهوض بحقوق النساء في جميع المجالات وولوج النساء إلى الثروة. لابد من ولوج النساء إلى الثروة في جميع المجالات حتى أنهم يساهموا في تنمية البلاد. وآخر نقطة لابد أن أسطر عليها هو تقاسم السلطة بين النساء والرجال. أظن على أنه هو بيت القصيد، لأنه العالم يتكون من نساء ورجال. لابد أن نتقاسم السلطة لأنه النساء عندهم قدرة كبيرة على العطاء وعلى الاهتمام بالآخر وليس فقط بالذات. ونحن في حاجة إلى هذه المقاربة النسائية من أجل خروج العالم من الأزمة التي يوجد فيها والكل كي يعاني من العواقب السلبية لها. إذن سنة 2021 بالمساواة والمناصفة بين النساء والرجال في كل عالمنا العربي وفي كل المجتمعات العالم.
Your Excellency, thank you so much for those very inspiring words. Thank you so much. I just want to repeat a few things that she said that you said that stuck with me as we move into our panel. And I'm going to say them in English if you permit me. And thank you so much for saying these. Your Excellency said that a woman is like a sun. She not only shines at home, and that's not where it's limited, she shines the world. And in society today, and for economies to prosper, we need to have, it is imperative to have women's participation across all sectors if we're going to move forward and if economies are to also move beyond this pandemic going into 2021. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us today and for those very inspiring words. I hope we can all meet again face to face when this is over without the masks, as Her Excellency asked, and without all this. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask our three panelists who will be joining me for this talk on women's economic power in times of crisis to please turn on their camera. Her Excellency Hanan Tajouri, Miss Isabelle Knauf, and Miss Nouzha Skalli. Please, if you would turn on your cameras. I just want to give a little introduction on this panel before I start the discussion. It is important to note that according to the 2020 Arab Youth Survey, the majority of interviewees expect a role of greater responsibility for women at work and in their families due to the pandemic. At the same time, 50% of women claim that they have the same professional perspectives and opportunities as men. But according to a 2020 Global Gender Gap report, the MENA region ranks in the lower third of all countries when it comes to gender equality. Women's participation still remains very, very low. And today, with these women and these experts in their respective fields, we're going to discuss how women should be more included in local, regional, international networks to improve the economic participation, which will promote their integration into society as a whole. So without further ado, let me quickly introduce you to our panelist. We have Her Excellency today. Oh, let's make sure that they're all here. Are you? Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. All right. So, thank you for joining us. First and foremost, I'm going to start with Her Excellency 𝗪𝗫𝗻𝗫, the ambassador of the Embassy of the Tunisian Republic to Germany. Thank you for being here. Her Excellency holds a master's degree in law and an end of studies diploma from the National School of Administration. She joined in 1998 the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and was in charge of the relations between Tunisia and Germany, and then the relations with the European Union. Thank you for joining us. Ms. Isabelle Knauf is a member of the Supervisory Board of Knauf Group. In the 5th generation, Isabelle Knauf studied mining engineering at the 𝗪𝗿𝗵𝗂𝗃 Aachen University. Excuse my pronunciation. To do so, she completed 220 shifts of underground mining, and in 1996 became Western Europe's first female mining engineer. After almost 5 years at 𝗪𝗲𝗃, most recently as division manager in the Central Department Mergers and Acquisitions, she joined the family company in 2002, initially as managing director for the Middle East. But from 2006 to 2010, she was also responsible for the East Asia Pacific region. Today, Ms. Knauf is a member of the Knauf Group Management Committee and responsible for Southern Europe, Middle East, South Asia, and Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me or welcome Ms. Knauf. Ms. Nouzha Skalli is Service and Support Partner, Automotive at SAP, and she's a Ouissal mentor as well. After her studies in Materials Management and Marketing at the SAP Dual Studies University of Applied Science, Nouzha Skalli joined as a project manager in 2001. She continued in different positions as a consultant, bid manager, and business development manager before she moved to Hayes, where she became a senior key account manager and later program manager. And I think it is so lovely to have you here, Ms. Skalli, because especially important to our project today and to the mission of today's forum and the theme, you became a Ouissal mentor in 2019, and you mentored a Tunisian startup founder in the IT and e-government business. And you say, and I quote you, this is the best in a mentoring relationship is that you learn from each other, take on different perspectives, and you make the experience better. So thank you for being here, Ms. Nouzha Skalli. I'd like to start with Your Excellency, Ms. 𝗪𝗫𝗻𝗫. You know, you've only been to Germany for a few weeks, and before that, you were in Washington. What have you learned about women in Germany in the short time before this lockdown?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for first for the invitation, and finally I succeed to join the forum. So Yumna and Clara, please accept all my apologies for the yesterday evening technical inconvenience. So, you know, technology doesn't have only advantage, but also disadvantage. So, so I'm happy to be with you, as we said in French, mieux vaut tard que jamais. And if you allow me, I would like to send a big kiss to 𝗪𝗫𝗻𝗫 for the brief concert, and to greet her and to say her bravo. And keep going, keep shining, rising star. So, as you said, Yumna, I was here in Germany for almost 8 weeks. So I came, unfortunately, in a context of pandemic, and you know, it's not easy for us as diplomats to live this experience, mainly as a new ambassador. You know, in our job, having contact with people is very important for our job. So it's not easy to go through all these virtual meetings because you know, as a human and as Mediterranean, we privilege the direct contact. If you can repeat your question, Yumna.
My question was, you know, what was your experience, you know, having been to Germany before in Washington, the short period of time, about what you learned about women in Germany that you can compare to your own experience of maybe women in the Middle East?
Yeah, actually, I deal a little bit now with the German administration. I consider that there is a lot of women in a good position. You know, we have the great lady and the great chancellor, which is doing well, and as many people all over the world, I have personally a great esteem and respect for her, because she did a lot for her country, for the European Union, and also for the whole world in many difficult times. Comparing to the Tunisian women, if I may focus in the Tunisian women, I'm really proud to be a woman, but especially lucky to be a Tunisian woman, because in my country, the women enjoy a very progressive rights. Since we have, thanks mainly to the Code du statut personnel. It's a law which was promulgated a few months only after the independence in 1956. It's a code which has abolished the polygamy, the repudiation, and even during the reign of Ben Ali, the statue of the Tunisian woman was unique, and in the whole Arab world. And after the revolution, the rights of Tunisian women was also enhanced, and the constitution, the new constitution of 2014, consecrate the parity, and and also a lot of laws enforcing the women rights was also adopted. So we have a law on the violence against women. We have the Tunisian Muslim woman has the right to marry a non-Muslim without the obligation to convert him to Islam.
Yeah, that's a big deal. That's a big deal, especially.
Yeah, and even we already a daring, if I may say, a daring dialogue now is going on the equality and the inheritance, and it's not easy to deal with this issue in Arab and Muslim world.
Thank you for that, Mrs. Knauf, thank you for joining us. Her Excellency Nouzha Skalli was saying that in order for things to prosper in this world, men and women have to find equality, and there has to be a balance. And a woman's job is not just at home, but also, you know, in her own way, paving a career for herself. And, you know, when we think about you and your achievements, and also being a mother, I think an important question that people should stop asking, but they still do, is how is it manageable to have this work personal life balance? What is your advice for mothers and fathers in leadership positions?
Well, I think the parents play a very large role. I am lucky that my father never made a difference between girls and boys. So I'm a born Knauf, not a married Knauf. And my father was been the chairman of our company. We're a family-owned company with about a little over 10 billion euros in turnover. And my father never made a difference, which meant that I could study engineering. I could go work in the mines. He didn't care. No disadvantages as a woman, also no advantages as a woman. You know, I had to carry my luggage myself. I now live in a 3-generational household with my 82-year-old father and my husband and my 3 children. And the truth is, if you want, you have to choose your living model. Are you going to be a shareholder that is active in the board, that is not running a 24-hour business, or are you going to be an active manager? I am currently in active management. I run a part of the company, which means that these are long days. And I'm lucky. My husband was a professor at the Middle East best technical university in Ankara, and he quit his job when we had our 2nd child because we realized, you know, either it's us or the nanny that's going to that child, and we decided it was going to be us. So my husband actually resigned and became a full-time father, which makes my life a lot better. Of course, we have a house, we have household help, which of course in the Corona pandemic became a problem. At the beginning of the Corona pandemic, we all did not know how contagious is this? What works, what doesn't work? And at the beginning, my father said, I'm 82 years old, no household help. And then I reached the point, for example, it was 2 o'clock in the morning, I was still doing laundry, and I decided this pandemic is going to last at least half a year, maybe a year, possibly 2 years. You cannot go on like that. So the next morning I went to my father and I said, look, you're going to have to decide if you want me to run your household or your company. And I said, I cannot run this household and do all the organizational changes we need to do in our company. And so we made a list of when the housekeeper is in what part of the house, and my father had to then jump from room to room, and then life worked again. We basically,
as you said, you managed it. That's yeah, exactly what it is. You know, it's interesting because you were talking about the company and also being part of that, and having a turnover over $10 billion. You know, how did you manage to lead your employees worldwide through the COVID-19 crisis? If you could just tell me some of the obstacles that you faced and how maybe you overcame those challenges as a businesswoman, if I may call you that.
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to see the timeline. COVID started in December, January in China. In China, we had a very strong government which told us very fast what we had to do. So it was quite straightforward, the measures that had to be implemented. And we were lucky up until now, although Knauf China has 4 factories, we still don't have any case. We've never had a case of COVID in Knauf China. What happened then at the beginning of February, we saw it hitting our Eastern Asian companies. So if you look at it, Iraq and Iran were already closing their schools and public buildings in the 3rd week of February, at a time in which COVID was not, was just becoming relevant in Germany. So there were also no guidelines coming from the headquarters here in Germany, because before this had been a Chinese problem, and it wasn't a German problem yet. It became a German problem in the course of March, and that was just not good enough. I mean, we were in lockdown in our eastern plants, and the Germans were saying, "Huh?" So we're very lucky that our production sites are we're very large. I mean, the length of a factory can be between 300 and 500 meters long. And so it's quite easy to space people. I think the main challenge at the beginning was getting enough masks and personal protection items on site. We were very lucky because we had the Chinese companies that they did a very good job at sourcing very early. Our main challenge there was actually we were getting a lot of masks and PPE confiscated, and we were making deals with the local government saying, okay, we'll continue importing masks if you let us keep half of what we're importing. Because on the one hand, I understand it very well that these governments were desperate for masks for their hospitals. On the other hand, it just doesn't work. If they confiscate all of what we're taking, why would we import? Yeah. And so we reached an agreement in this sense in a number of countries, especially in Northern Africa. And we spaced. We have parts of the factory where we have FFP2 masks, for example, in rooms, in the control rooms. If you have more than one person in a control room, you can improve the air conditioning, but you need an FFP2 mask. While if you're out on the production line and the next workplace is 50 meters away, you can easily use the normal surgical masks. So we organized ourselves very well. After a while, we realized up until today, we still don't have a single case of transmission within the company, but we kept on getting infections from outside. And I noticed that this was always coming from the family. So after 6-8 weeks, we realized we have to move our line of defense one level out. And we issued 3 masks, washable masks, to every member of the household of all our employees. And that really gave us some relief in the infections because the families were not getting infected, so they were not carrying it into the company.
It's interesting because what I hear you say, and I'll come back to this because but what I hear you say is not only were you taking care of your own employees, but also you made it personal because it went towards the homes as well. So really making your employees feel like, there's care there for more than just what's going on, because we want to keep the work and the production going. And this is how we're going to manage this.
These are human beings, and it doesn't help if they're not getting infected in the company if the wife brings it home from the market. And so we have to issue the masks to the wives and the children as well. It doesn't help otherwise. Or if they're taking public transportation. So we at the beginning, when we were issuing masks only in the company, and then we realized, wait a minute, the interim step was issuing additional masks for traveling to and from the company. And then we said, okay, this is still not enough. We have to include the family into our line of defense. And we did also other things.
Yeah, go ahead, because I want to move on to Nora for a little bit. Go ahead.
Have to, our people are not just working, and they're not just working, and they're not just at home. You also have to. They also go to mosque, for example. A number of our plants have their own mosques, and then we said, okay, we change the busing times, and we make it possible that the people pray at our mosque. So they don't go to the Mahalle mosque, the mosque in the quarter, and get infected there. So
that's understandable, because you have to. We will come back because we have to adapt to this pandemic, and it's become a challenge. I think even for managers and business owners, just to kind of see how to work through this. Thank you for sharing that story with us, Ms. Knauf. Nora, I've been wanting to ask this since they told me that you would be part of this panel. You traveled to Tunisia last year and you mentored your mentee, 𝗬𝗎 for the whole of 2020. What impact did Ouissal have on you personally and professionally? What did you learn from it?
Well, I think it is the biggest impact is it is a business network, and then it is a business women network. And this is combined with coming together. Where do you have that? Normally in a network, you see each other for a couple of hours somewhere, now online. But with Ouissal having 1 week together in Tunisia, meeting also the mentors as well as all of the mentees, this was really something where real relationships grow. And having had this for 1 week with the cultural impacts, the experience people bring personally and from their business life, having experienced managers and also having the job starters as well as fresh startup founders. I mean, this gives you an energy which helps you to reflect a lot on your own and to think of what am I doing, how much impact do I have, and how much trust do I find with my mentee, and how can I bring this into my personal life and business life. So I think this is really something which has a lot of impact on you personally as well as from a professional basis. And as a third dimension, it also has an effect on your environment. You tell your colleagues, your managers, your customers. I had a huge feedback also from customers. And I think this is what we need. We need to get closer with all of us as a person, and then it helps to come closer as companies and as regions. And if you understand better, then you trust each other, and then you can do business together, and you can also cope with difficulties.
The feedback that you're talking about, can you share some of it with us? Because I guess when you're mentoring and you're dealing with a startup, it's all about the customer feedback and how are you going to be able to sustain this in the future, right? You're investing all this effort and energy into this so that hopefully it amounts to something in the future.
Absolutely. And I think this was something also we with German mentors discussed a lot, because what we found was there are so many ideas. I mean, you are a founder, and a lot of us, we are already in established businesses, or we are managers within a bigger company. And then you find a mentee and a founder having so many ideas, and it is more or less the difficulty to decide, where do I put my priority? And what are the ideas I want to push and I want to make money with, and I want to manage my resources towards it. And to see then that it helps to get a bit of a definition of what do you want to do, what do you want to achieve, and then how do you manage to achieve it without jumping from idea to idea, but first to see if you can be successful. This was something which was like what we achieved or what we'd like to achieve, and then, but not managing it, but being a counterpart and a peer to discuss it and to also reflect on what is necessary from the customer perspective. Is it interesting for your customer? Do you know your customer? And then do not tell your story of being proud and having awards and achievements. But your customer needs to be interested in what you want to do with him or her and how you can support them. And that was really impressive, because the companies, they all have a purpose. It is a difficult economical time, and it already was last year. For example, in Tunisia, we have a very high unemployment rate with excellent educated students. Nevertheless, they do not find a job. So there are female founders, and they are willing to make a change, and they have so many ideas. And I mean, it is so rewarding to be just the one who helps a bit to get priorities and to have a story, to understand what do you really want to achieve out of your huge amount of ideas. So yeah, this is, I'm still all into it.
This is interesting. And you mentioned Tunisia, which is going to bring me back to Her Excellency Hanan 𝗪𝗏 You know, Your Excellency, it's interesting because Miss Noura Legitimo just mentioned that, you know, even in that part of the world, obviously, and as I was stating the the different numbers before, women still struggle in terms of unemployment, in terms of maybe access, maybe the ability to get that push from local institutions or government. I know that you hail from the town of 𝗪𝗃 near the Algerian border, and about 40,000 inhabitants, and the Arab Spring started with Tunisia. What has changed there since 2011, do you believe, for women?
Yeah, next Tuesday we will celebrate 10 years.
10 years.
After the revolution, yeah. So what assessment can we do after these 10 years? Actually, for women, yes, there is an improvement for women, for sure. As I said, we have this very progressive constitution of 2014 which consecrate parity. So it's still in theory. Now we have to work on to concretize this parity in reality. We can also see that the role of women, the political role of women, is also improving, even within the political parties, within the very vibrant civil society in Tunisia. So we can say that after the revolution, the statue of women is still improving. But if we can see the whole picture of 10 years, after 10 years of the revolution, we can make a mixed conclusion. We have, as for sure, the democracy. We are going on this path of democracy, and it's a choice, irrevocable choice. But on the other hand, we can see that there is really a lot of frustration, a feeling of frustration among the youth, mainly because, unfortunately, they didn't see yet the dividend of democracy, because they didn't see it in their daily life. So this is a big task for the government to succeed now the economic transition. So yeah. I think that we have a lot to do 10 years after this revolution of liberty and dignity. We have to prove to our population, to our youth, that being a democracy has a dividend directly to and that can change their daily life.
Yes, and Your Excellency, thank you for mentioning that. We have an attendee from Egypt that said they have the same problem, because also Egypt went through the Arab Spring, and 10 years later, when you speak to historians and analysts, they tell you change doesn't happen overnight. Change doesn't happen overnight. Revolutions happen, but then change, when you look at the French Revolution, or, it takes a lot of time, and 10 years, especially.
It's nothing, but we have to continue the endeavor to consolidate this assets. Yes,
and by the way, just a note, because I'm trying to read your questions to ladies and gentlemen in the audience. Please, if you do have questions for any of our panelists, feel free to send them in the chat. We will read them. We will take them. Your Excellency, thank you for mentioning that, because I think it's interesting to talk about Tunisia, because Tunisia was kind of the catalyst for the revolutions that ensued afterwards in 2011. It has been 10 years. It's interesting that the 𝗪𝗻 also organized this to kick off the year after a very difficult year with the pandemic, but also it just happens to be the decade anniversary of the revolution. I want to move on to Ms. Knauf, because I want to get a little bit into you as a person. It sounds so intrusive, but has there been a particular woman in Africa, Turkey, and the Middle East who maybe inspired you in the past and something you learned from her? The personal stories are always the best, I believe.
Now, there aren't a lot of women in our business, and the main problem of women in business is not law, it's tradition. Now, if you want to make your way up in the business world, you're going to have to work the extra hours, and you're going to have to go do things that are not necessarily socially acceptable in your society. You have to go visit customers, talk to customers. If you're coming from the technical side, you know, the day has 24 hours, and you will have to sometimes go to the factory during the night as a woman. And these are the main challenges. If I look on the operative side, for example, I have a very good chief operational officer. He's responsible for the efficiency of the 16 plants we have in your region, and the region that Emma is taking care of. And she's a lady. She's just turning 40, Turkish, and
young.
I'm scratching at 50, so I definitely
young. Yes.
Then if you look at it on the entrepreneurial investor side, I mean, if you look, we have a joint venture in Morocco with the Safari Group, and that is led by Mrs. Saïda Lamrani Karim, who at 70 is still very actively running her business.
I just wanted to ask that, because you mentioned this, but is there a gender policy in the company that you can tell us about, or it's based on merit?
Well, it's completely based on merit. The question is, you know, you have to work yourself up the ranks, right. And we're missing two things. We're a very technical company, which means we hire a lot of engineers, and you know, even in Germany, I studied at 𝗪𝗿𝗆 Aachen University, which is the best technical university in Germany. And I recently heard that even today, we have less than 4% in female engineering students in mechanical engineering. I mean, if we only have 4% studying it, what do we expect to get out afterwards? You know, it's if you don't have the qualification, you're not going to get the job.
Ms. Knauf, you need to be out there and really, you know, using your example as an encouragement also for women out there that aren't enough in STEM. I think we need, you know, we don't talk about this enough, women in STEM. It's become more prevalent in the last few years, but again, not enough is being done to push that I don't want to say quota, because
but it's also our responsibility. How do we bring up our daughters? I mean, my daughter is now going to school in Germany. She used to go to school in Turkey. Now we're in Germany, back in Germany, and she has 100 kids in her grade level. So let's assume 50% are female. That means 50 girls. There are exactly 2 girls that are in the technical branch. And all the other girls are going either into the arts or the languages. I'm sorry, but you know, if you only have 2 of 50 girls choosing the technical branch, that's 4%.
How do you expect it's true? How do you expect it to move forward? Thank you so much. I want to just wrap up one last question with Noura, Miss Noura Legittimo. I know, you know, we've heard them talking about family and how to balance it all. I know you are a member of the Federal Board of the Female Leaders Association, Working Moms. And since today is a lot also about networking, I want to know, what does networking mean to you, and what do you recommend to our German Arab community when it comes to successful networking? I think this will be a good segue into what comes next.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this is essential. And while we women, we know a lot of other women, and they know a lot about us, but we are not really networking, and we need to learn that. And I think it is a lot about, you know, I think there's an example. If my husband visits his friends, then he comes back and I ask him, hey, how was it? Good. Okay. How is he? How is he? What are they doing? We didn't talk about it. Can you imagine that with women? I mean, we are talking all over the details. We know everything, but we do not use it. We are not used to tell really, what am I doing? What am I currently needing? What do I need from someone else? A contact, an opportunity, an idea, a harsh feedback. We are not telling people. We are trying to smile and keep it to us and find a solution on our own. And in networking, you need to know your 3 main tasks. What do you do, in short, so that everyone can understand what you are actually doing? You need to tell what you need currently. And you also need to take the bridge to bring this message across. What do you bring to others? So how can you help? What are you interested in your counterpart? And then you need to learn to use that. So to connect people, even if you don't see your direct benefit at the moment. So I really think it is, I mean, the women I saw with this Ouissal program, they really follow a purpose. It is about the environment in Africa. It's about resources, educating kids, bringing technology to the countries. I mean, these are really current questions to the world. And if we combine this energy and we know about each other, and if it is so difficult to talk about yourself, then talk about others. Talk good about other women. And this creates energy, and this creates networks, and then you can grow and you can be successful. And I think the word is wrong, because currently we call it networking, but we should go there to call it network queens. And then we did a great job.
And I thank you for saying that. And our audience is saying we absolutely agree with you. We need to be more business savvy and really, really put in an effort to do that. And to, you know, part of what we're doing today also is opening the stage to networking and being able to do that using this platform to the best of our abilities during COVID. Ladies, thank you so much, Your Excellency, Hanin Tejuri, Miss Isabelle Knauf, and Miss Noura Legittimo. I want to invite back onto the stage Miss Clara Goutroy, who is going to really tell us a little bit about master classes that we have. Clara, can you tell us a bit about what's going to happen right now?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for so many role models talking today. We talked a lot about networking, and we are running short of our own networking break. This is a real pity, I think, but still the chat and all the Ouissal WhatsApp group are running hot. So we will have the whole day to go to our networking sessions. And what I would like to explain a bit to my dear audience today is what the mini master classes, like we named them, are about. We really want to have not only talking and discussion, but also to learn something today for our professional life. And I would like to present to you 2 really great personalities who will host the next sessions. So you will have a hard choice. We will have, first of all, Fadi Ramzi. Some of you know him. He is based in Egypt, and he was accompanying us in our Ouissal groups already throughout the year. And he's really very strong and expert of everything that relates to business development online and social media competencies. And yes, he will just have a very lively and very funny way of teaching us really how to perform and boost our business 2021 online. So this is our first speaker. And the second mini masterclass will be Monira Latrache from Berlin. Monira has been speaker of one of the former Women's Forum already. And she's just, I would say, one of the how can I say, the first personalities in Germany really pushing forward the new work. I remember that we had the famous TV moderator and feminist Maria von Welser with her on stage. It was in 2016, I believe. And there was a big discussion on many things about, like, it was like a generation conflict. And Munira was pushing forward already, and it's just several years ago, but we were talking about remote work, new ways of leadership, working hours, and so on. And I feel like today we have much advanced in many things. And today Munira wants to show us a little bit about authentic self-leadership in digital times, because many of us are female leaders, and we know it's hard to especially in this COVID pandemic, to every day perform well and to motivate our teams. And this is what it's all about. So please make your hard choice. And yes, we only have some minutes left. So what I really would like to ask you is to make your choice. Either go in the networking and to skip the mini masterclass, or take this gift of learning this morning, and then after the nice music session in the end, we all meet in this networking rooms and we can share.
Thank you for that, 𝗧𝗲. I just want to take a moment. I'm happy that Her Excellency Nouzha Skalli rejoined us. Ladies, I think Ms. 𝗓𝗲𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗃 couldn't have said it better. It's Network Queens today, and hopefully moving into 2021, not because we want to change the name, but because that's the spirit that we need to move into 2021 with, to really connect, never underestimate the power of dialogue, the power of conversation, the power of Network Queens. And from my end, at least, even living in this region and seeing the tumultuous chaos that ensued in 2020, not just on an economic level with the pandemic, but also with the explosion in Beirut. If you followed the news, we always make the headlines for the worst reasons in the world. But for the women in this region, connecting with European women and American women and Eastern women and you know, Asian women, and just really bridging this the way that Nora said it and the way that Ouissal is all about. I hope that we continue to bridge this and we continue to feed off of each other and learn from one another. So for me, at least, thank you so much, ladies, for being here and sharing your stories with us today and your advice. It keeps going now. I believe we need to click out and then click into one of the master classes, as 𝗧𝗲 was saying. And if you don't join us later, then have a lovely 2021. Happy New Year, and take good care and stay safe. Wear your mask. Miss Isabel Knauf knows all about the masks. They're everywhere, and they're so important. And she had to talk to the Chinese government and say, hey, we need those masks. Stop confiscating them. So wear those masks. Thank you from my end. Thank you so much. Thank you, 𝗧𝗲, Ms. 𝗓𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗃, Ms. Isabel Knauf, Your Excellency Hanin Toujar, and Your Excellency Nouzha Skalli. Thank you so much.
Thank you.